Hello, dear friends. Miracles are not contrary to nature, but contrary to what we know about nature. Saint Augustine. Opinion piece. The cosmic shift of the ages. Loss of control. Silent evolution. The end of times. Secret trust fund. Freedom in silence. Dark bottomless pit. How to survive what is coming. No one can stop the awakening. Extreme terrestrial phenomena. Let's start. We are in the cosmic shift of the ages, as the old gives way to the new. According to Judith Castle, humanity is undergoing an unprecedented cosmic transformation, but this change is much deeper energetically and more powerful than anything we have ever experienced as souls on other galactic and universal levels. Castle asserts that the consciousness of ascending souls has surpassed the limits of language, moving toward telepathic communication, soul to soul and heart to heart, which cannot be distorted. Those who choose to function at higher dimensional levels will be able to become invisible to those still anchored in the old 3D. She mentions phenomena associated with the new paradigm, such as teleportation, bilocation, and instantaneous space travel, as well as the activation of solar crystalline light bodies and integration with the angelic realms, giving rise to the so-called seventh root race. All of this leads to a new golden age marked by unity consciousness. Definition. The shift of the ages can be seen as a global transition phenomenon affecting human consciousness, where humanity adapts to new planetary frequencies and evolves in its collective expression according to different traditions and spiritual visions, including announcements from ancient cultures and sages such as the Mayans and Nostradamus. The shift of the ages is a process of profound transformation that involves a great reset during which economic, political, legal, technological, philosophical, business, and individual structures mutate irreversibly, and which goes beyond simple technological or social transformations. Currently, this shift is associated with processes such as digital transformation, political and social crisis, and an exponential acceleration of technological progress that marks the entry into a new historical and conceptual era. The entry into Aquarius marks a shift toward an awakening of human consciousness in terms of personal action, as well as of belonging to the collective, with the strength and power that this implies. Thus begins a transformation that will be accompanied by great changes, such as technological, scientific, and in general, paradigm shifts that will lead us to the search for and implementation of alternatives more consistent with a full life for the planet and its inhabitants. Evolution. A silent evolution has taken place, which I suppose happens to each person in their own way. Its state of mind. I have the ability to remain firm when speaking to someone, grounded and unwavering. I feel as if I am made of indestructible metal as long as I maintain peace. This feels like you are falling into a bottomless pit with no end in sight. This is a bit like what's happening now. But remember that at a certain point, the human consciousness of the old ones will be able to descend no further. A wave of understanding and desire for peace will emerge, a desire for equality and respect that will cause humanity to see this violence gradually disintegrate according to the Delosians through Marie-José and Dichu. Extreme terrestrial phenomena are becoming more intense and frequent. Volcanoes erupt with towering fountains, lightning bolts tearing through the sky, and 5 comets with tails extending across the firmament simultaneously. Research shows the convergence of forces from a weakening magnetic field, more intense solar storms, and blackouts. Is Earth entering a more extreme cycle and an era of rapid transformation? Freedom in silence. We often imagine that life is made up of events, movements, and stories that unfold one after the other. According to Saint Germain, however, beneath every appearance, there is an unchanging stillness. The source neither arises nor disappears. It neither begins nor ends. It simply is, radiant, complete, and intact. To emerge from human history, one begins first with silence. There is silence within you, a deep depth where no thought can penetrate. There is silence outside you, a spaciousness that envelops every sound, every form. When you turn toward these silences, you begin to feel the truth. The story of the self is only a tale whispered on the surface. Loss of control. The weak have lost control, according to the Arcturians through Chilean Wilder. As we navigate this turbulent period, it is becoming increasingly evident that the forces of darkness are intensifying their attacks against the people. This aggressive stance is a direct consequence of their belief that they have lost all control over the narrative and the world around them. In their desperation, they are resorting to tactics based on deception. However, these falsehoods are being revealed at a surprisingly rapid rate. The very plans they have meticulously laid out are instantly failing, revealing their inherent weakness. These lower frequency beings are not ascending in consciousness. Rather, they remain trapped in a cycle of ignorance and aware that while pushing their agenda, they're exposing their true intentions and vulnerabilities to the public eye. Are you willing to embrace the chaos of the dying 3D? The Arcturian Council explains challenges and separations of the 3D world as unique catalysts for soul growth and creative transformation. This contrast, though sometimes uncomfortable, prompt deeper self-discovery and longing for unity, ultimately enriching the soul's journey in ways impossible in higher dimensions. Survival. The situation has escalated once again, with conflicts and wars on several fronts, destined to be resolved suddenly at some point when tensions became excessive. This is unavoidable, as the law of balance comes into play. You can only inflate a balloon so far before it bursts. You can only tell so many lies until they cease to be corroborated, and then the truth is exposed. If the path we follow is toxic, it will soon cease to exist or lead us to self-destructions. This means that if we wait too long, we destroy ourselves. We are in a stage of survival or non-survival. All current personal and national wars are the result of a failure to recognize problems and unethical behaviors to change them. A failure to recognize what is truly blocking the path to peace. A failure to see what is truly unleashing violence. A lack of forgiveness, lack of love. The end times involve a sorting between those capable of reflection and learning and those without it. The earth is on the verge of shedding those unable to learn, as its frequency cannot keep pace or match its rising vibration. This process is also being accelerated by incoming cosmic energies, which bring to the surface all hidden and repressed problems, whether political, global, social, or personal. This period of crisis is also an opportunity to improve and choose a way of life in accordance with cosmic law. Many people are now in quarantine and have time to reflect. We live in opaque, confusing, and complex times. Sometimes we are so caught up in our routines, structures, and behaviors that it seems impossible to distance ourselves and see everything from the outside. Many things are completely upside down. What we believe to be true is actually not. What we believe to be false is often true, but we know much more than before. It's less a division of experiences into true and false, and more a broadening of perspectives. Secret fund. There is a secret untaxed trust fund valued at approximately $150 trillion created by the 1872 Mining Act that blocked mineral rights on federal lands. This fund is said to have been blocked by environmental regulations and political decisions. The value comes from federal mineral wealth in resources such as oil, gas, precious metals, and other minerals. Financial analyst Jim Rickards commented that the recent Supreme Court ruling and an executive order from the president will allow these resources to be unlocked and accessed, leading to massive influx of wealth. Rickards mentions that this wealth could fund large-scale economic reforms and could be linked to movements like GISRA, which focused on global economic reform and the financial reset. Opinions. RFK Jr. says he wants to stop all chemtrails. Former MEP Godfrey Bloom denies human-caused global warming. Juan Osabin says the system is too stuck and that we are living in a time of social crisis that we have endured for many years. We must try to look from a deeper perspective, not just from deviant replays on social media. We are achieving a lot. Watch how this progresses and stay tuned. The X22 report states that the dark side is rapidly losing control of the narrative because people are awakening, seeing beyond established narratives, and they are unable to stop it. Given this growing awareness, the dark side is expected to attempt a diversionary tactic to weather the coming storm, perhaps with a cyber attack that leads to conflict. The problem with all this is that we, the people, are the storm. Breaking news. Netanyahu says he controls Donald Trump according to Tucker Carlson. Child trafficking at the border dropped by 93% after Trump's return. The EU will not be able to keep its promise to buy vast amounts of US weapons. Macron opposes the confiscation of Russian assets out of respect for international law. Keir Starmer's British government is pushing for a digital ID called BritCard, even though it's a smartphone app. Italy and Spain are sending warships to defend the flotilla carrying food and medicine to Gaza. Immigrants are stealing and eating swans in British parks. The US is preparing a $20 billion bailout to help Milei. The Eurozone is feeling inflationary pressure. Mexico is in recession, and the rest of the world will follow. Trump is pulling the economy out of recession and transforming the system right under the central bank's nose. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.